Greetings. First, let me all welcome you to RootCon 15. It's really nice to see how our local con have grown a lot over the years. And even these times of the pandemic, I think RootCon is still doing great. So thanks to everyone who made all this possible, the RootCon goons, the sponsors, and of course, all of the attendees. So let's start with my talk, gathering cyber threat intelligence from the cyber criminal underground. So first, some introductions. So who am I? So I'm Eric Reyata. I'm a threat intel analyst with Fox IT. I'm also affiliated with some local organizations here, RightSec and CSP CERT. And for this presentation, I would like to give credits first to Fox IT for some of their research data that I've used for this presentation, and of course to Dash QA for the data analytics for helping me with the graphics and all the charts I used in this presentation. So with that, let's start. So let's start with a definition of cyber threat intelligence. So we have this definition from Gartner. It says here that threat intelligence is evidence-based knowledge, including context, mechanisms, indicators, implications, and actionable advice about an existing or emerging menace or hazard to assets that can be used to inform decisions regarding the subject's response to that menace or hazard. So yeah, it's quite a mouthful. So what is cyber threat intelligence then? So from that definition, we can say that cyber threat intelligence attempts to be a proactive measure of our organization's cybersecurity. Also, we can say that it is focused on data collection and information analysis of threats or adversaries, which helps us make knowledgeable decisions for securing our organization or responding against various cyber attacks. Also, I would like to add that cyber threat intelligence is not always about attribution. So yeah, it helps with attribution, but it's not all about that. So there are several levels of CTI. So we have the strategic, operational, and tactical. So let's do some start from the bottom, and then we go up. So tactical is the what of cybersecurity. So what are the IOCs? So what happened? So it falls here. So this is usually consumed by security operators, our SOCs. Those people consume our tactical intelligence. On the operational side, on the operational level, this focus on the where and the how. So how did an incident happen, or this includes like the techniques, tactics, and procedures used by threat actors. And then where is like where did it happen? So where should we look for clues to help us with the investigation, for example? So this includes probably threat hunting, network analysis, source analysis, malware analysis, etc. So this is often used by incident responders, the network, and our network defenders as well. On the strategic level, this is like targeted towards the C-suites, so our CISOs. So this focuses on the who and the why. So again, the who attribution. So who attack us? So who are the victims as well? So that's very important. So who are the targets? But more importantly, the why. So we should understand why are they attacking us? So what are the motivations of the threat actors? So we have that for the levels of the CT of the cyber threat intelligence. And then we'll have the life cycle, threat intelligence life cycle. So we start with planning and direction. So this is where we identify our organization's intelligence requirements, which would guide our cyber threat capabilities. And once we define those requirements, we'll have our collection or information gathering. So during this phase, we we get our sources from our sources, which we'll discuss later in later slides. So we get from different sources raw data. So that raw data will then be used in the next phase, processing, where we try to convert that data into information. So we try to make sense of it. So we validate it, maybe using some manual processes, but of course, because of big data, so we need to do some automation, and of course, maybe we can use AI, machine learning, natural language processing, and whatnot. And then, of course, after that, we have analysis and production. So this is where we try to, so if on the processing phase, we turn the raw data into information. In this phase, we try to convert that information into intelligence. So intelligence is, these are, so what we're trying to create here are answers for our stakeholders or for the consumers. So after that, how do we deliver it? So that falls here in dissemination and feedback. So dissemination will be how we deliver our intel. So it can be in forms of reports, like analytic reports for the strategic level, for example, maybe through feeds, or maybe we can expose some API to consume our threat intel. So this is where your stakes will come into play. Also, maybe you share through to other organizations through a maybe MISP or through another like threat intelligence platform. So this is also in this part. And most importantly, I think this is probably the most important part of this whole cycle is the feedback. So this is where we try to measure the effectiveness of our produced intelligence. So that's the whole cycle. So this is just a quick rundown of the whole cyber threat intelligence stuff. So that, yeah, we can relate that to our next topics. So we'll just discuss briefly. Of course, our cyber threat intelligence analyst looks at like two places. So internal, so this could be your logs. Maybe you're watching an ongoing attack, or you're capturing network traffic. So that's those are internal sources. And then of course there are external sources as well. So we're going to focus on that because our topic, cyber criminal underground, is part of those external sources. So it is sometimes not considered, or maybe most of the threat intelligence, especially those with lower maturity in terms of cybersecurity, so they try to ignore intelligence coming from the criminal underground. So that's what we're going to discuss here. So with that, let's discuss some external collection sources. So first, we have open sources. So these are those we can get through like what we know as open source intelligence, or OSINT. So this includes publicly available blogs, news portals, social networks, so all this stuff. And then we have semi-open and non-open sources. So this includes forums, so including those invite-only ones where you need to have a voucher, or you need someone to invite you to get in. Social media groups, Telegram groups, so, and of course those that need specialized software to access, like Tor, so those onion sites, and the other dark nets, so like I2P and Freenet. So that's part of the non-open and semi-open sources. So this mostly, I'll say, is where the cyber crime underground operates. So we'll discuss that in later slides. And of course, another source can be online engagement. This is when you actually engage with a threat actor. So you can engage him through any communication medium. or maybe through the forums. So you can engage with them and get information from them. So that's another source. And of course, outreach. So things like this, like conferences, where we can get information from our fellow researchers. So that's also a source of threat intelligence or information at least. And then, of course, engagement with other members of the InforceTech community and law enforcement cooperation. And of course, we have technical research where you build your own capabilities, like maybe you research malware and try to uh, like honeypots. Maybe you have honeypots, you have sandboxes, uh, so and other collection projects. So so those are your technical sources. So So the cybercrime underground. So with that said, so that's just like a quick rundown of what cyber threat intelligence is. So it's in no way complete like information about CTI, but like just the basics that you need for this. So let's now move to our main topic, which is the cybercrime underground. So what is the cybercrime underground actually? So we have this. I know you're very familiar with this image, not exactly this one, but when talking about the dark web, you'll usually get this image. So they try to categorize stuff and like where things can be found. But unfortunately, we're not going to do it here. So of course, as I've said, it's been discussed a lot already. So probably it's like best discussed like over beers, maybe in the RootCon party when we can do it already. So the cybercrime underground. So what it is really. So so this is our main focus for this talk. So this is like, as I've mentioned, one of the collection sources. So this is, as I've said, this is not only the dark web. So it's not only the dark web. So I'm not saying that there's no dark web or deep web or whatever you want to call it. Of course, a lot of people or even security vendors use that term, but for our purposes, we'll use the term criminal underground, which I think is more appropriate because it's not just on those part of the internet where criminal uh, operations or cybercrime is happening. So I think I'll have some disclaimer first before I continue. So this talk it's not a how to, like not how to do it. So I think uh, there was a talk last year from ASG Scorpion, also here in RootCon, which tackles that. So he gives pointers on how you can do it, but also I'm not encouraging you to do it on your own, like right away. So maybe you should consult someone who know better because of several reasons. Maybe it's against your organization's policy, or maybe it's against your moral, but because you don't know what you'll encounter maybe. So yeah. So by the way, the title of this talk is I think automating threat hunting on the dark web. So you should check that out if you're interested more on the how to do it. So instead, this talk focuses more on some of the use cases for intelligence coming from the criminal underground. So let's say what's actually out there and how you can use that to have insights to protect your organization. So this talk will include some research we have done from some time ago, and of course some ongoing ones still. So let's move on, I think. So with that being said, we can say that cybercrime underground is equals to the operational environment for cyber criminals. So this is where they do their thing. So this is also a place where we can engage them. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it could include forums, maybe chat platforms, maybe even Facebook groups, so or any other place where they operate. So also we can say that this is a place where financially motivated threat actors operate most of the time, but also there's like there are also some like nation state sponsored actors working there, but probably very low key. Also, of course, there are security researchers and law enforcement there. So, but that does not necessarily mean that we are cyber criminals as well. So, yeah, that's your cybercrime underground. Oh, by the way, before we move on to the use cases, it's also good to point out at this point that there's actually no single or unified cybercrime underground. Like, of course, there's the Russian speaking ones, but other regions tend to have their own flavor of cybercrime. Like, for example, uh, of course, the Russian speaking ones are like more about malware, getting access, of course, ransomware. But say if you check out some other regions, like for example in Brazil, they're all about uh, banking trojans, for example. And let's say here in the Philippines, I think we have our scammers. So they are more on like the fraud stuff. So yeah. So moving on, let's have our first use case, which are credentials and dumps. So of course, we all know that there's a lot of like leaks or yeah, data leaks being shared. So we're going to have a look at some of them here, and then let's see what we can learn from them. So first will be the Facebook dump. This was like this year, early this year. Yeah, April. So yeah, April. Uh, so these are actually not necessarily stolen credentials or like yeah, it's no way stolen. It's more like they are scraped data from Facebook, but uh, it includes several PIIs which can identify persons. So let's take a look at how the data looks like. So for this one, we tried to analyze data for the Philippines only. So I think there's around less than a million, but yeah, this is how it looks. So basically, you have your phone number, your FBID, then full name, address, and then other information like where you live. So definitely, you know how bad guys could use this. Like they can uh, try to, of course, identity theft and maybe some other malicious stuff. So some fun statistics we get from that dump. So yeah, I'm just trying to make it a little bit fun. So we have this. So what we did is we parsed the data and took the uh, employee or like where you work. So apparently there's a lot of Filipino on Facebook who works with SpongeBob on the Krusty Krab. So yeah, it's quite funny. So for we have like others here, Facebook, Patpad, and then this one is also quite funny. Eddie sa puso mo. So a lot of people works there apparently. So yeah, you have that for some stats from that uh, leak. But yeah, that's fun. But seriously, this is this screenshot is from a store in the underground where they actually sell Facebook data. So this is like per piece. The price is like less than $2. But yeah, so that cheap you can get information that you want. Maybe, of course, this shops usually have a way to filter like or search. For example, you want to get an account from the Philippines, so you can do that, and then you can just buy it. Yeah, using like your choice of crypto. And another one. So this one, Zeroday bridge. This is quite big in itself. Zeroday is actually another forum, underground forum, where they share this kind of stuff like databases actually. So some hacker would get or dump, let's say, your database, and they would put it in this forum. And unfortunately, that forum was breached by some other hacker and sell it in another forum. So it's here. It's like around 9,000 databases they sell. So for this one, so I choose this one. So this is no way the biggest dump or the most relevant one. I just choose this one because it's easy to identify uh, credentials or accounts coming from the Philippines. Because what I did here is we extracted those databases coming from domains with .ph. So we have it here. So it's around like 30 to 40 organizations. But of course, these are breached organizations, not necessarily, or services. So it's not necessarily the organization itself was breached. So looking here at this graph, it's like credentials from that set of data, from that data set. So we have these organizations. I try to redact the names because obviously I'm not sure if these organizations are aware that they have their credentials out there. So these dumps are usually combos. So it's like username and password, or email and password, or in some like not very bad cases, the password is instead of a password, you have a hash. But yeah, so we have this stats. So we have this organization. I think this one and this one are the same. So I just did not bother to join them together. So this one, so quite a lot here. Uh, the thing here, as I've mentioned earlier, it does not necessarily mean that uh, this organization with this domains are the actual, or they are not they are not necessarily the one who are breached. So it's the service that their users are using which are breached, and then it just happened that they're using their probably corporate email for signing up on those services. So that's why this happened. So same with this one. This is for educational institutions. So again, as I've said earlier, this does not necessarily mean that these organizations or these institutions are breached. So they have probably their students are using these email addresses to sign up to somewhere. Like I think one of the breaches on this dump is from Wattpad. I know that for a fact that a lot of Filipinos are signing up on Wattpad. So maybe that's how it happened. So, but yeah, this is just to show you the stats for these institutions. And then from government agencies as well. So we have here several credentials from that dump. It's like not the entirety of dump, but a data set from that dump only. So we have that. And then, yeah, unfortunately, also from our military organizations. So we have here from AFP, PSG, Army, PAF. So there's just a few, so that's good. But still, yeah, it's out there. So I think we reported this to them. So as I've said earlier, it does not necessarily mean that they are compromised. So some of their users or those who use email addresses with these domains use it to sign up to a compromised service. So with that, I think so. What can we do with this? So with that, I think uh, first is, yeah, maybe tell these guys to reset their passwords. That's the one good thing to do. But of course, more importantly, is to educate them or to have like an awareness for proper like password hygienes. Like you don't use your passwords or even accounts, email accounts to sign up these external services. So also in terms of the organization, they should have, I think, stricter policies regarding the use of email with with other services. So we have that, and yeah, still part of the dumps. I just want to showcase this market from the underground. It's called the Genesis Store or Genesis Market. So basically, this sells you fingerprints or like I think, yeah. So when you're trying to use this stolen credential, so let's say I'm a threat actor. I want to use this credential. So usually, so let's say, okay, let's just say I want to use my Google account in another computer. Let's say I'm also somewhere else, or maybe I'm using a VPN. So I've tried to log into my Gmail account, and then Google would be all suspicious about your activities. So this apparently the stuff they sell here is they try to prevent that because these stolen credentials includes all the stuff you need so that when you use these credentials, it would appear as if you're using it like you're the actual user of that credentials. So how did they do that? So they have fingerprints, so all the cookies and everything. They also provide this software called Genesis Security, which would also automatically use a proxy where that data is supposed to be coming from. So this software, though I have not actually get my hand on it, I think it's like a custom browser. Probably they build their own Chrome browser to have all these features. Well, also based from the description they have there. So yeah, it sets everything up for the user, so it makes it very easy for other criminals. Even if you don't have any experience, you don't have to bother with VPNs. You don't have to bother with your cookies. So you just you buy it and then use it for whatever purpose you want to use it for. So these are some of the credentials for sale, for example. And yeah, it's of course it's not available. Features of these stores, usually you can search them. You can filter your search. So if, for example, you want accounts coming from the Philippines, so you can just filter it here. You can filter with according to price as well. You can search for specific accounts you want. So maybe you want a Facebook account, a Netflix account. So you can do that in the interface. It's quite common with the stores and shops on the underground. So yeah, we have that for the Genesis market. And the next, we'll have dump shops and stolen credit cards. So this is our second use case. So this is how a fools look like. So a fools, so it's like a slang in the fraud community. So basically, it's like it stands for full information. So in this case, this came from a recent leak, which is actually shared for free. Like I think it's I can't remember if it's a million records, but they share it for free, and I just filtered it so that we just analyzed those coming from the Philippines. So it includes the card number, the credit card number, the expiration date, and the CVV. So sometimes that's enough, but yeah, it also includes like the full information, like your name, your address. Some of them have their phone numbers in it. So yeah, this came from rather recent leak, but yeah, I haven't confirmed if these are actually like working or new. So where do this dumps go is this dump shops. So this is quite popular. This one, Brian's Club, these days, this is, I think, one of the most popular one. So Brian's, I'll just show you screenshots of the dump shops, but yeah, I'll just make it quick. So this is another one. So they're quite artistic actually with all the stuff they have, but I'm not going to show you everything like how it looks inside because they're basically almost the same. I'll just show you one at the end, which is yeah, where we did most of our analysis. So these are like the dump shops, and then we have here. So this is the Joker stash. So yeah, so this is where this is the dump shop that we analyzed. So fortunately, this one is already they already closed shop, so they're not operational anymore. So that's good. But yeah, before they close down, we are monitoring them, and this is the rest of this part we'll discuss. So this is how it looks like inside. So usually all those dump shops, even the others that I've showed you the login screens. So when you log in there would be a news section. So the news section is where they put all the stuff regarding added dumps on their website, or what they call, in this case, bases. So we have that. So take note of this because we use this in our analysis later. And then this is actually the actual part where you can buy the actual cards. So you have here bin numbers, country. So you can search and sort it out according to these fields. And actually, this store is also like they have like an auto buy option, like it's automatic because obviously the fresher the cards are, so the more useful it is for them. So some of the threat actors just put their deposit some credits here on this shop, and then they set some filters, and automatically when new dumps would be added to the shop, it will be automatically bought for them. So you have it here. You can, of course, check them out manually as well. So we have that. So is the information or the data we collected from that shop. So basically what we did here is we try to scrape all this data coming from the shop. This is, this is data from 2019. Also, this is no way this is in no way a complete representation of the data available on that shop during that time because of several limitations. But this is like a good part of what's out there. So we'll know, at least we have an idea of what's being sold out there. And of course, this data, you don't have like the full information. So mostly it's just preview of what's out there. So yeah, let's go. Let's continue with this. So, another limitation we encountered when doing this research is that there's a lot of uh, limits on how you can search or how many pages can be rendered for a specific base. So I think it's like around probably 47 or something. After that, even if there are more data, you won't be able to get it. So that kind of limitation. Also, this is, I'll say, not very easy to scrape because of several like security mechanisms they put, mostly like captchas. So it's kind of hard to automate some stuff for scraping this data. So with that, this is like a breakdown of the volume for 2019, so per month. So as I've said, this is probably not reflective of what's actually in that shop during that time. So these are because it also it depends on a lot of factors. So yeah, it's a good representation, but probably not very accurate, I would say. But if you can see here, you'll notice a trend with the average price. So around September, the value of the card starts going up. So yeah, maybe Christmas starts early on that dump shop, just like we do here in the Philippines. So with that, let's move to the breaches. So earlier, I've shown you like the news section and they announced the breaches there. So that's how we parse the data. So the cards on that shop are either skimmed or maybe it came from a breach. So just those two classification, well, based at least from the description of the basis. So for the whole entirety of the data that we collected, 75% of those data came from skimming. So we're not exactly sure what kind of skimming, probably using post malware or maybe a skimming device, or probably also using web-based skimmers. So, but yeah, it's a good 75% of the total data, and the rest, the 25%, falls under the breaches. So we try to break down the breaches into their name, to their uh, base name. So we have this. So we have that. So yeah, they're also quite creative with how they name their bases or dumps. So we have that: Da Vinci, Solar Energy, NWO, Fear Rain. So yeah, so you have that. And good thing about this is during our research, we were also able, well, by correlating news from the open sources, we were able to correlate that these breaches from this dump shop actually represents a breach or a known breach. So in this case, Da Vinci is actually from Earl Enterprises, and then Solar Energy is from this one, and this one is from this one. So yeah, that's some insights you can get from uh, monitoring or analyzing those dump shops. And just for uh, other stuff, so yeah, so this is not very much considering the amount of data that we collected, like around 2.8 million. There's a few from the Philippines, not very much, which is I'll say good, like around probably 3,000 only. So that's good. There's not very much, but still I think this is significant. Also considering that the average price for cards from the Philippines are actually relatively high. So cards usually the average price during this time. So it changes depending on let's say season. So during this time, 2019. So this is the price of for Philippine banks. So we have here Bank A. These are numbers of cards from our data set. So Bank B, so we have this. So we did not bother to put the names. Some of this I think we reported to the banks, but yeah, these are, but they can, I'm not sure how they can deal with this, but at least they know that, yeah, they are, it's out there. Their data is being sold, though, yeah, we don't have the full like card number, for example, so that they can block that. So unfortunately, that those dump shops don't provide that. Well, unless you have access to the actual backend. So unfortunately, in our case, we just have this data coming from their front end. So as I've said, some good news. So they are finally closed. So yeah, probably they earned a lot already. So that's why they closed, or maybe they moved to another like business model. Maybe they move to ransomware. So that's our third use case. So of course, we all know that there has been a rise of ransomware attacks in the past few years. And for some time already, their modus operandi kind of changed. Like they try to uh, get or exfiltrate your data and put it into their leak site. So with this part, what we did is we check. So we check all these lake sites and try to gain intelligence from those lake sites. So this is like a page from the Onion as well, or you can see all the links for their lake sites, even the earnings for some of them. But yeah, this is where we focus the links, and then from there we get the list of the victims, and then we try to correlate them, say according to their industry or sectors, yeah, sector or vertical where they would belong or which country they are in, and then we try to have some stats for that. So first, let's have the top 10 ransomware groups. Well, this is according to their victims. So from the data we collected. So top one is Conti. Of course, I know you're familiar with some of this. It's like all over the news recently. So we have Conti, Lockbit, Abaddon, Reveal, and so on. So these are like the top ones. And then target, top 10 target victim sectors or verticals. So we have industrials, consumer. So some of them would claim that they don't target healthcare, but apparently there's still healthcare here. So yeah, and if you see the list, we're not able to put a sector for everything because sometimes we don't have that information. But for those with we have information, so we try to group them into this. And then distribution by continent. So obviously North America, so mostly United States have uh, the most attacks or most victims. Europe as well. So this we were not able to figure out which continent they belong. Also this unknown. But there's 40 in Asia. So what are the chances that there are victims here in the Philippines? So are there? So unfortunately, based from the lake site themselves, yep, there are victims of ransomware. So this is from the Everest ransomware leak site. So apparently, the Department of Agriculture was ransomware somewhere, I think, around June. Also, this one, so though the data is not yet available, so that means they're not leaking it. So I'm not sure, maybe they forgot about it. I don't know. So also this one, this company from Makati City, they also have data published already there. So yeah, these are like more IDs, passport scans, so KYC basically. And of course, we have this from Lockbit. So this is uh, before the Lockbit gang decided to hide, I'll say. So they have this on their dig site. So it's for an auto insurance company, I think, if I remember correctly. And then, so this one is from Lockbit, and this one is from Lawrence Ransomware. So another government agency, so BCDA. So their data is already published, apparently 90% already. So probably there's still part 4. So yeah, you have that published there. So of course, in terms of ransomware, uh, being there, like if you see your organization in those leak sites, so that's not a good sign. So it's like game over already. So that means you're breached. But also, I think we can learn a lot of stuff from there. Like for government agencies, for example. So maybe this will give you insights on of your potential exposure. Maybe you're running the same system as those who are compromised, or maybe you're actually in the same infra, or maybe the same people work on these infrastructures, or they manage your ICT. So yeah, you can definitely get some lessons there. Uh, this will also give you like insights of what are the needed intelligence to know, so that you know what to look for in your environment. So that will still be very helpful. So even given the fact that someone is already compromised. So same with other organizations. So you can check, oh, maybe this corporation or this organization are running these servers. That's why they're compromised. Or maybe sometimes these campaigns are thematic. I'll say uh, they target like specific sectors. So you know that if you'll see that, oh, there's a rise with victims from this sector. So should I be worried? So if you're on that sector, so yeah, probably you should be. So yeah, there's a lot of information you can get from those stuff. So as a summary, so these are like this. So those are like the research we did, but there's a lot of other stuff out there. So these are common threat intelligence use cases from the cyber crime underground. So we can use it for brand monitoring. So includes leaked data, compromised credential, executive and VIP protection, like maybe your like higher ups or C-suites information was published somewhere. So you know it's very common that uh, they use that for fraud or for identity theft. And then of course you can use this for fraud intelligence or investigations. So there's also a lot of let's say discussions about malware, like development, rentals, so whatever. Also vulnerabilities and exploits. So that's discussed a lot in those uh, forums. Also can be to geopolitical threats, like uh, can there could be like some groups discussing terrorism and some extremist activities. That this is usually, well, based from my experience, would usually be found on Telegram. There's quite a lot of groups that discuss this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's out there. So maybe this applies to your organization. So maybe you need this. So maybe you should consider getting uh, threat intel as well from the cyber criminal underground. So I guess with that, if you have any questions, you can email me. So I think that concludes my presentation. So if you have questions, you can email me here. This is my email address. And I'll say that's it. Thank you, and hack the planet.